Hello and welcome back to Bigfoot Lake. Tonight we share an encounter that was sent in by a viewer, and while this isn't the viewer's personal encounter, this is just something that they stumbled across and thought maybe we would like to share here. So I found this fascinating and I hope you enjoy it. So with that being said, pull up a stump and get comfortable as we dive into this fantastic Bigfoot encounter. Hello, I've been hesitant to come forth with my encounter because of being judged and mocked. But I know Bigfoot is real, and I can't be dissuaded from my belief. So, this is one of two major contacts I have had. Sorry it's so long. This experience took place in 2007. The Pacific Northwest, Cascade Range, was in the fall near my home. It was fall, so most of the leaves had fallen off the trees and the air was rather brisk. I had a new puppy and I was working on potty training, so it was necessary to take her out during the night. Her preferred potty location was way out on the other side of the garden, a couple 100 feet from the door. The property is backed by timberland, miles and miles of timberland. You could walk all the way to the coast through those woods, only crossing a few roads on the way. People still get lost out there from time to time. That summer, the logging company clear cut behind my land. They were generous to me and left a huge swath of trees between me and the logged area. This particular night, my puppy wanted to go out and do her business way on the other side of the garden. It was roughly about 2:30 a.m. It had been a quiet night. My two huge security dogs were sleeping in the tool shed on their heated bed. They got up when we came outside, all stretchy and blinky, and joined us as we made our way to where my puppy was insisting she needed to do her chores. Everyone was busy, my security dogs marking territory, and I staring at the sky, blowing out huge puffs of white breath at the moon. Later, after reflecting on it, I would realize that the valley had been eerily quiet. I had really not been paying attention. Then it happened. There was a deep, guttural, screaming roar. It shattered the quiet, and I spun around to face the direction it came from, and my dogs came to attention but did not run to intervene and bark. I stood there, my legs rooted to the ground, my body vibrating with the shocking sound. The guttural, screaming roar happened again, and then again, each time getting worse. It was not a roar as if to sound a territory proclamation. It was of rage, pure animalistic rage. My blood froze, and I swear my heart stopped. I could tell from the first roaring scream it was on the edge of the clear cut, midway up the hillside. I was in real terror. It was going to come down the hill towards me. I was terrified. My dogs were terrified, and they were not afraid of anything. I had them because I had them trained for security purposes. They were not afraid to go after bears, cougars, or humans. Finally, my mom instincts to protect kicked in. My poor puppy, blissfully unaware, was not finished, but I was not brave enough to be out there without a gun. I snatched her up and I made a dash for my house, my dogs right on my heels, and as I opened the door, I had 280 pounds of dogs bowling me over to be the first one in. They rushed inside the house and hid under the kitchen table. I snatched up my gun and opened the windows on that side of the house and then went back out onto my porch. The creature was up in the clear cut, expressing its full rage. I could hear what I assume was rocks and sticks being thrown. I could hear it beating on the downed logs with something heavy like a stick. At one point, it sounded like the stick shattered. The creature was venting its full rage on whatever it could get its hands on. It just kept going and going. Maybe at this point, about 10 minutes passed, and it seemed to be finally wearing down. I stood on my back porch with an open door to my back, staring at the tree line, terrified and praying it wouldn't come down the hill towards the house. I knew my scent was up there, around the grandmother old growth Douglas fir tree. I had been up there that afternoon. I was determined to stand there and protect if I needed to. And it was on me, as my backup team were still hiding and whimpering under that kitchen table. Midway across the hillside, it was still venting in huffs and puffs and grunts, but it and I both suddenly heard a second voice. This one was calmer and further away. Its voice changed as it called back to the second one. The creature turned and started making its way towards the second creature. It was still angry, but as they talked back and forth, it was calming down. It was not lost on me that they were talking. It was not human. It was very guttural, pitchy, grunting, and it had inflections. They were talking. I feel that the first one was a male. The second was female. She calmed him down, and I was grateful for it. I stood there listening until I could no longer hear anything. Again, the night was enveloped in an eerie quiet, as if it knew what was out there. My big, brave security dogs slept inside under the table after refusing to go back outside. Life woke up the next morning as if nothing had happened. I went to where I thought it was beating things up, and I'm sure I saw what it did, but it was too hard to see the difference between what it had done and what the cleanup crew had tore up. But there were fresh rocks in the road, and one of them was the size of my head. A couple days later, I took a ride on my quad about 7 miles out toward the direction they went. I know of a valley up there that's protected. I drove out there to the hillside above it to look down to where I thought maybe they could be living. I did not try to hide the fact I was there. In fact, I wanted them to know I was there. I picked a spot where they could clearly see me. I also had picked that spot knowing the air would draw my scent far down into their valley and let them know I was there. I also knew they could smell the gun oil. I purposely wiped it down with fresh oil, knowing they would be familiar with the scent. I was determined. Stupid is debatable. I sat there for a good while, appreciating the warmth of the sun and marveling that even though the majority of the trees had lost most of their leaves, the cottonwoods in that protected valley still had plenty of yellow leaves and were beautifully dancing in the sun. Then, suddenly, the hair on my arms and neck stood up. I knew I was not alone. It's odd how your instincts know before your mind can register when they are there. I calmly stood and called out to them. I kept my voice calm and smooth, arms down and my hands open. I held my body strong, but not threatening. I wanted them to know I was not a threat. I could not clearly see them, but I knew right where they were. They did not make a sound, as one stood in the valley and the other moved in the forest line higher up, moving closer to me. As I talked to them, told them I was not responsible for the cut forest, and how I tried my hardest to keep the loggers from cutting the grandmother tree, and that was the reason my scent was so strong there. I bowed to show respect, and turned, climbed on my quad, started it, and drove away. Did I do the right thing? I don't know. Did I do harm? No, as no retaliation ever came to me or the property. Do I think they are complex, intelligent creatures? Oh, yes, I do. I believe they understood my one-sided conversation to some degree or another. If they had wanted to hurt me, they could have, up there talking to them or later at my home, but they did not. They chose to hear me. There were a couple times later that fall that I felt I was being watched and swear I could smell them. I would call out a calm hello, bow, and move myself to the house. The bow is respect, it's not worship, and shows I'm not a threat. It's a slight bend at the waist, arms down at the sides, bent at the elbow, palms up, and eyes closed. I believe we had an understanding, a mutual respect, so to speak. It was curiosity that brought them to watch me, and I wanted to show respect. So that concludes our encounter for tonight, and quite frankly, I find that encounter phenomenal. What do you guys think about that? This recognition of the communication between a possible male and a female, how the male was very aggressive, angry, probably had every right to be angry due to his home being destroyed by the loggers. And then we have this calming female voice coming into the picture and leading him away. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this language that she described? Certainly sounded like a complex, intelligent communication between the two. My next question is, would you have went up into there seeking them out? That would be a tough choice. Looks like from the way things played out, it was the right choice. Maybe they could sense that this person was being honest and had nothing to do with the destruction of their home. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to get your guys' comments on this. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this encounter. And if you have an encounter you would like to share, please reach out. So many, just like the author of this encounter, had a hesitancy to come forward for fear of being judged and mocked. This is a safe place where you can come forward. This is a place you can come forward, tell your story, and not be laughed at. So I hope you can take that step and come forward, share your story. So I appreciate you all being here tonight. Thanks for listening. I hope you all have a great night, and as always, we will see you on the next.